Okay, hello and welcome to this video lecture series on behalf of Project Sathi. Welcome CLAT aspirants. Today we are going to discuss a very important topic related to crime and punishments. The punishment is considered one of the most important topic of criminal law because punishment is the essence of it. So I welcome you to this lecture and I hope I am audible and visible clearly. We will have a very interesting discussion today. So I hope you are in a mood to learn. You have come with a hunger for knowledge. Okay, let's come. Let's begin. Okay, punishment. Before we discuss what is punishment, the logic is very simple. Punishment is corporal punishment, punishment to the body of a person. Criminal law primarily focus on corporeal punishment. What we call corporeal punishment is the punishment to the body of a person. Why it is important? Because that is something that will uh, create pain and annoyance for everyone. If money is considered as a punishment, a rich will not feel the burnt of it. Like suppose a very rich person, a billionaire, is asked to pay 10 lakh rupees. That is nothing for him. But if a poor person he will be asked 10 lakh rupees, that will be hugely uncomfortable for him. But corporeal punishment, jail हो जाएगी किसी को, फांसी हो जाए, it is equally painful for everyone. There is an equality in the idea of punishment. That is why we have that as a consequence of breaking criminal law. Money is not sufficient punishment for people. That is why we have this idea of having punishments that are corporeal. इसीलिए हमारे अभी हम लोग पढ़ेंगे कैसे कैसे punishments हैं यहाँ पे. But before we begin with what are the punishments in India and why the punishment, the theories of punishment, we have to ask ourselves a simple question: why do we have to punish someone? As a thinker, as a student of law, or as a social scientist, as we may speak, the first question that you'll ask yourself: what's the point of punishing someone? Somebody has committed a crime. That crime cannot be rectified. Somebody killed someone. Suppose A killed B. Now the question is whether, if we punish A, whether B will be alive again. The answer is no. There will be no difference as to the pain and agony that has been caused to the relatives of B. Loss of life has happened, and number of things. Being A punished, what's the point of it? That is something that we have to understand, that why we punish people. Why state comes in between and says कि anybody who commits a crime, we will punish. Why you will punish? What's the point? Why the state will punish someone? That is a very interesting question. Generally, the theories of punishment, there are four theories of punishment, as you can see in the slide in front of you. There are four primary logics behind punishing a person. Different people explain it a different way. But the first and most foremost theory, or first or foremost logic behind inflicting punishment, is deterrence. The point is कि अगर हम कभी किसी को punish करते हैं तो you must have seen that crime patrol episode. Anup Soni comes and says कि सबक एक को सीख हम सबको. यानी कि obviously um, one person is punished, other persons will be afraid to commit crime, and that is called deterrence. Deterrence मतलब भय, डर. एक को पनिश करिए, बाकी सब लोग डर से वो काम नहीं करेंगे जो कि क्रिमिनल एक्शन है. एंड दैट इज वर्क वेरी इफेक्टिवली. अगर कोई व्यक्ति सड़क पर चल रहा होता है, उसको एक आईफोन स्टोर दिखता है, he sees an iPhone store and he wants to take that iPhone, and there is a very lean and thin, very weak guy that is working in that iPhone store. He has no protection at all. You can go and grab an iPhone and come. But why don't we do that? Because we fear that if we go and we take an iPhone, we snatch an iPhone from that person, that is that you can do easily. We don't do that because we fear the punishment. So the punishing a person creates a fear in the people. That is why in many jurisdiction you have see punishments are like that. People are often killed, butchered in public view, because the deterrence is the logic. है ना, वो आप देखते होंगे कि भाई पब्लिक पनिशमेंट, पब्लिक हैंगिंग्स होती हैं. Many Middle Eastern countries, they have this particular logic that the person who has committed a crime should be hanged publicly, or they are beheaded publicly. The more gruesome the punishment is, it is better for the deterrence. Deterrence is something that is a very important factor, and it works, but still it doesn't work as effectively, because sometimes death is not enough a punishment for the people. Like, I'll give you an example: a terrorist, like the most famous terrorist that we had recently, Ajmal Kasab. Now we hanged Ajmal Kasab. Do you believe that a terrorist who is brainwashed because of religious fanaticism will be deterred by hanging of Ajmal Kasab? No. For him, that person is martyred, and he'll be more resolved in committing the crime. You see, that is really what happens. So deterrence is a very good logic, but is not 100% effective. None of the theories are. That's why they are the theories, not facts. So deterrence is a very important factor. It works, but it has its limitation. Um, Second is, and I believe that is the very core of punishment logic, that is retribution. रेट्रीब्यूशन का मतलब बच्चों बहुत ही सिंपल है, इसका मतलब है बदला, vengeance. Now vengeance is something that is inherent in the human mind. We all strive for vengeance. Every time a crime is committed, if you are the victim of the crime, if you can take vengeance, you will take vengeance. Somebody slaps you, if you're capable of slapping back, you will slap. Most probably, unless and until you are a saint or something, you have some extraneous consideration. General instinct of every human being is revenge. It is one of the most, what we say, purest emotion that a human being can have. It's a very animalistic instinct that we have. And not only animalistic in the sense that most more primary societies have this. Most advanced societies have this. Vengeance is the logic on which we operate. Like, I'll give you an example. Remember every movie that you have watched. Every movie that you have watched. I'll say 90% movies are based on the idea of vengeance. Vengeance people seek. They want to see people punished or harmed because they have been the victim of a particular crime. I'll give you an example. You see, every Sunny Deol movie, you see there is a very, very famous, very simple storyline that is with minor variations that is applicable in most of the cases, is that there is a very imandar police officer, a very imandar person, and he's killed by some underworld don, a goon. He kills someone. Now that some son of that person, he becomes Sunny Deol, and he gets up and beats the hell out of some people. Now we all know that is something wrong, that is something illegal. You should not take law in your own hands. But we cheer. We see Singham, we see Ajay Devgan, and many of the actors. Obviously, they are acting, but we see them breaking n number of laws, which will be considered completely inappropriate. Killing people in cold blood, hitting someone randomly. N number of crimes we see those people committing, but still people cheer for that. When sometimes a gruesome crime happens, and as a result of that, police commits and the police kills the perpetrators. There is an encounter. You see, you go on social media, people will cheer for that. Oh, bahut badhiya. Police. Everybody knows that this is illegal, but we cheer for that because the sense of retribution. Not only we have sense of retribution. If we see a story of retribution, we feel very happy. You know? The death penalty. What's the point of giving someone death penalty? Retribution. When we see people getting justice, people getting hanged, or people getting punished for their wrongdoings, we feel a sense of satisfaction. Even though we have not been harmed personally, there is a sense of vengeance at a societal level and at a personal level. आपके साथ बुरा हुआ तो आपको बदले की भावना आई. समाज में भी कुछ बुरा होता है. We saw Nirbhaya cases. I remember there was a huge celebration on the day on which the rapists of Nirbhaya were hanged. Ajmal Kasab were hanged. People celebrating. They're doing fireworks. There is a recent Netflix documentary on a very famous serial killer, Ted Bundy, Theodore Robert Bundy. He was a serial rapist and killer. And when he was electrocuted He was given electric chair. People were in front of that the jail in which he was hanged, correction center. People were there with fireworks and everything. They were having a party for that. You see, sometimes we burn, we kill, we celebrate Ravan Dahan every Dashara. That is a sense of vengeance that he has wronged someone. So we are celebrating vengeance. That is one of the most inherent feeling. Israel is taking vengeance for what Hamas has done to their people, to innocent civilians. So obviously they are acting on the vengeance, and vengeance becomes justice in many sense. I'll give you another context of it. Then when retribution is taken, we become very happy. But not everybody is capable of taking retribution. Suppose somebody is harmed and somebody is killed, a innocent police wala is killed. In the movies, the son will become Sunny Deol. But what if he does not become Sunny Deol? He becomes a weak or lean and thin person. He's not a bodybuilder, or he's not 2.5 kilo card. He's not have 2.5 kilo card. Not capable enough to extract vengeance. Then what? Obviously, the sense of retribution will be unfulfilled. Secondly, let's say this sense of retribution continues. And I have killed your family member. You attacked and you killed my family member. You remember gangs of Wasepur? It is a constant sense of vengeance against each other. You killed me, I killed you. That continues. And Sultan and those who have seen Gangs of Wasepur, if you have not, it's a cult movie. So obviously, it is the whole sense of vengeance is there, and again, crime it keeps on committed. So as the somebody said, eye for an eye will make a whole world blind. Hammurabi's code was for eye. And in Spanish we say sangre por sangre. That is blood for the blood. And obviously, kisas in Islamic law, you take vengeance, you take the revenge for the killings. So where that will stop? Eye for an eye will make the whole world blind. These are two problems. First, everybody is not capable of taking vengeance. Number, that sequence of vengeance will further increase the violence. That is why state comes into picture. सरकार आती है बीच में और कहती है भाई किसी को वेंजेंस नहीं लेना अपना. आपके साथ बुरा हुआ है, हम लेंगे वेंजेंस. If you have been wronged, if you have been uh, tortured, you have been killed, let us take the vengeance. So state takes vengeance by obviously hanging someone or by sending that person to jail. Everybody gets satisfied. Yes, okay, fine, that person has been jailed and that person has been given death penalty. We become happy by the reason of it. And secondly, if once the vengeance has been taken by state, there can be no counter vengeance against the state, because state is mighty. Suppose A killed someone from the family of B. Now B's family did nothing. They lodged an FIR. A was tried. A was punished. Now A's family member cannot exercise vengeance against state, because state is mighty. जज ने आपको पनिश कर दिया, जज को क्या कर लेंगे आप? No, obviously the state is mighty. That's why judges have protections. Prosecutors, they work in a very protected way. And everybody understands that is not an individual person who has harmed you, but rather it is the state. State का मतलब सरकार ही पूरी तरीके से जिम्मेदार है. Obviously, state takes the vengeance. So it is very difficult to take vengeance against the state. Sometimes terrorists try to do that. The Makbul Bhatt was a terrorist who was hanged. Afzal Guru was hanged. So many supporters of the Afzal Guru and those terrorists in the some terrorists in the Kashmir Valley, they started try to have vengeance against Indian state by attacking the army convoy. And obviously, that retribution idea is there. But 99% of the people, they will not be able to take vengeance, or they'll not think of taking vengeance against state once a person has been punished by due process of law. That is something that happens. So one of the most important logic, those two problems that I have highlighted, by is simply redressed, is simply answered by the role of state in that retribution. So the point of punishment is very much is retribution, taking a vengeance on behalf of the victim, taking a vengeance on behalf of the society. That becomes very important. Okay. Third theory, third logic why we punish someone is obviously related to reformation. Reformation means, as it is said, the Christ said probably, and also echoed by Gandhiji, that hate the sin, not the sinner. Every saint has a past, and every sinner has a future. And it is also said that every person is inherently innocent. The society, the surroundings, the background, the circumstances make that a person a criminal. And when that person is a criminal, if that person is a criminal, it is his fault, as well as the fault of the society that allowed him to become a criminal, or circumstances that led him to become a criminal, or or an offender. In that case, the logic is that the person can be reformed by a very careful approach towards correctional sentencing. Means that a person is sent to jail. In jail, that person is confined and he has a lot of time to think. Now, that person will introspect and will reach to the conclusion that what he has done is wrong. That sense of penance will come, and that idea of uh, the idea of prayashchit will come. So that is why this reformative theory has been going is has become very important in recent times. People are again arguing that okay, you punish people, but the idea of punishment is not to actually harm that person or vengeance, but rather the idea should be to justice, and justice comes with reformation. Every person is capable of reformation. That is a very sound logic. Many people we have seen that they have reformed their life, they have changed in life. So jail, whether jail reforms people or not, is a very interesting question that we have to ask ourselves. Sometime it does, sometime it doesn't. If you will visit a jail, and I believe as a law student you will some time in your life, if you will become a practicing lawyer, or even if, as a law student, if your institution has a, probably national university has a legal aid cell, you can visit jail. You can see, I have visited many jails as part of my studies, and I have seen that the people in jail are more or less very well behaved. They turn religious. If you will literally go to a jail, and you will be very much confused at how every person has turned so much religious. Everybody is so much into God, and everybody is doing puja, and those who are Muslims, they are offering namaz, and everything is so much religious, so much religious sensitivity and religious devotion comes to the people who are incarcerated. In jail, you have a lot of time, so people try to spend their time in that way. And there are very successful stories of reformation. But there is also a side downhill, that okay, in jail there are many illegal activities. So a person who is not a hardened criminal can become a hardened criminal. Obviously, so it has pros and cons, but reformation is considered a very important aspect of it. When you, I remember that I was interning somewhere, and um, the person under the whom I was as an intern took me to a tea stall, and he said that you see, when we had tea and all, and after we had tea and we came back, the professor, he said to me that you see, the person who served us tea, the person who was running the tea stall, is convicted with life imprisonment. He comes from jail and he runs that tea stall and he goes back to sleep in the jail. I was shocked, and he's a murderer. And I was okay. I didn't feel like he was a murderer. He was a very calm, very composed, very friendly kind of guy, very sensible. So, like, that's the point I'm trying to make, that people are capable of great change. But obviously, some people are more receptive to reformative techniques than others. So, obviously, that is the logic. So, we punish someone to reform. And fourth is prevention. The important logic is that those who have shown criminal tendencies, they are sent to jail, they are secluded from the society so that they might not commit any further crimes. आप एक व्यक्ति को जेल भेजते हैं तो उसका एक बहुत बड़ा कारण ये भी होता है कि अगर ये बाहर रहेगा तो ये क्राइम करेगा, है ना? When somebody is denied bail, you know, sometimes suppose a person is not convicted but under trial. So the reason why a person who is under trial um, is not given bail because the judge has an apprehension that if this person is released, he might commit a crime again. You know, he might tamper the evidence, he might intimidate the witnesses, he might threaten the witnesses. इसलिए प्रिवेंशन भी एक लॉजिक होता है किसी को पनिश करने का कि भाई ये खतरनाक क्रिमिनल है, इसको जेल में डाल दो तो ये आगे क्राइम नहीं करेगा, है ना? Sometimes, and also people are sometimes preventively detained in jail so that they might not commit a crime. Sometimes people say, okay, I will do a protest, मैं जाम कर दूंगा, और if the state or if the government has a very reasonable apprehension that that person being out might cause trouble, disorder in the society. You must have heard the name of the National Security Act, Rashtriya Suraksha Kanun, RASUKA. That's a law related to preventive detention. A person, even before he has committed a crime, is sent to jail, and he's not released because the state has a argument. Government argues that this person, if he'll be outside the jail, he'll become a huge troublemaker for us. So that will create a huge problem for us. That is why this prevention is also crime. Prevention is also a logic behind punishment. Sometimes people are punished so that they might not go again and commit a crime. Some people who are habitual offenders, sometimes people who are convicted in a gang related offense. You see, if you are part of the gang, if you are part of a criminal syndicate, organized crime, what we call it, if you are part of an organized crime, then more often than not, the state will be not very keen to actually release you. So that is why longer punishments are given to the people who are part of the organized crime, because of simple logic that because this person is not committing crime alone, he has a whole gang or a whole ecosystem behind him. So leaving him outside, allowing him freedom will obviously create huge problem in the society. So that is why prevention is also considered a very important factor for punishment. Okay, moving on. Types of punishment in India. Death penalty, the most important and most serious or severe punishment that we may have is death penalty. Now, death penalty is given in several types of cases. Under BNS, Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, death penalty is given generally for murder, 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 daikaiti with murder, kidnapping for ransom. Then we have sedition, no, not sedition, waging war against India. If somebody commits treason, wager war against India, that is punishable by death. Then we have gang rape uh, with a minor, that has a death penalty. So there are several offenses for which there is death penalty, but everybody who commits murder does not get death penalty. You see, thousands of people commit murder daily. They are convicted as well, but they are not given death penalty, because death penalty is a very interesting type of punishment, because it's very final and it's extreme. There are people in India, and there are in the legal academy, there is overwhelming majority of people who said that this death penalty should not exist. In many countries of the world, if you'll go into uh, Nordic countries, Scandinavian countries, death penalty. In Europe, most of the countries have abolished death penalty. Do not give death penalty. And one of my teachers, they use a particular phrase that I like a lot about it. That is, every time we give death penalty, we lose the civilizational argument, because we have allowed our animalistic instinct to prevail over our rational mind. So death penalty is something that is considered that is abhorred by a lot of people. People don't like the giving death penalty, but there are in some cases in which you will be at loss that what punishment should be given. The societal pressure will be such that death penalty is the only recourse. Sometimes the crime is so gruesome. Sometimes it shocks the society so much that the people who are generally non-violent will also say yes, death penalty is warranted in this case. Like recently in Kolkata, RG Car Medical College case, you will see people, even those who are very kind-hearted people, they will advocate that somebody who has done such kind of act must be punished with death. So what the law says, and the Honorable Supreme Court in multiple judgments, the most leading case is Bachchan Singh judgment, in which the Supreme Court said that in the rarest of the rare case, death penalty should be given in exceptional cases only. Exceptional cases means the cases in which the crime is so brutal. There are so many factors which makes the crime so gruesome and so exceptional that death penalty is the only way the justice can be done. Now, generally, it happens in the cases of heinous crime against women. Number two, multiple crimes committed by a person. And third is obviously uh, those who are treason, those who commit terrorist act, waging war against India, terrorist act. They warrant death penalty. They have forfeited their life by committing a crime so heinous that there is absolutely no possibility of reformation because somebody has gone to such an extent. We cannot afford that person taking a single breath in our country, eating the food of the country and prison and all. They don't deserve it. Generally, there are three types of cases in which death penalty is given. Obviously, there are several factors associated with it. We'll discuss in sentencing policy. But death penalty is given in rarest of the rare cases. Rule is life imprisonment. In most of the cases, rule is that the court will give a person life imprisonment. If the court wants to inflict death penalty, they will have to go through a very lengthy discussion on why death penalty is warranted, assign special reasons to it. Then, if the trial court assigns death penalty, then the high court has to confirm it. Just because the trial court or district court, sessions court gave death penalty, that person will not be executed. High court will deliberate upon it, that whether death penalty is actually warranted in this case or not. Then also the Supreme Court generally takes the appeal. They hear the cases in which death penalty is given. Then we have a mechanism of president's review, pardoning power of the president. People apply, and most of the cases, in most of the heinous crime in which the Supreme Court has maintained death penalty, president commutes that or he converts or change that sentence into life imprisonment. So that happens more often than not. That happens very frequently. In very rare cases, you see, in my living memory of 20 years or so, I have seen 5, 6 death penalty and 10 all people executed, some terrorist. I remember that very course of Dhananjay Chatterjee as a rapist. Then we have terrorists, then we have Nirbhaya, then we have some Ajmal Kasab or that Afzal Guru. Then there was recently one more terrorist bomb uh, who helped in committing bomb blast. So, in very rare cases, there are death penalties given. In most of the cases in which there is plain and simple murder, death penalty is not given. Acha, in India, how death penalty is given? It is given by hanging by neck till death. In Army Act, some of the military laws, there is also punishment of death penalty by shooting squad, but that has, I don't believe that has ever been used. So death penalty is generally is given by the way of hanging by neck till death. Okay, and very rarely that happens. That is the how the Indian laws work. Then we have life imprisonment. Now, life imprisonment is also a very interesting case. Life imprisonment generally means a person is incarcerated for whole of his life. Life imprisonment means life imprisonment. Many people have said to you must have heard 14 years. Life imprisonment means 14 years. That is completely not correct. It is misleading. Actually, life imprisonment does not mean 14 years. Just that the state government has power to release a person who has been given life imprisonment before his death. Means you have been in life imprisonment, you are in jail, and if your behavior is okay, good, and you have spent a significant portion of period of time in jail. Earlier it was 14 years, now it is 7 years only. If you have been in jail and you have shown reformation, remarkable change in your behavior, then the state government or the central government, as it depends on the crime that the person has committed, that person can be released from jail. And that person, his life imprisonment can be converted into imprisonment, and that person can be released prematurely. There are sentence review board for this purpose who will actually assess that whether this person has been reformed, what is his behavior, what kind of crime he has committed, is there a possibility that whether he will commit a crime again or not. All these things they will assess, and on the basis of that they make a decision. But recently, Supreme Court stated in 2015, the Supreme Court stated that this power of the state government to release a person before his death, that can be taken away by the Supreme Court. Supreme Court in multiple cases gave the punishment of life imprisonment till the remainder of natural life of the person. Means that person will be in jail till he is dead, and the state government will not have an option of releasing that person prematurely. And the discretion that the state government had of releasing a person before his death was taken away by the Supreme Court through its judgment. Supreme Court said that in there are several cases in which the it is not sufficient for a person to be released after a period of time, and death penalty will be too much. And death penalty is too much, so the middle way is incarcerating a person till his death, not life imprisonment, but imprisonment till death. That becomes very interesting. Imprisonment till death. So that debate it's an ongoing debate. Obviously, people try and tend to give effect to that life imprisonment is given. Now, there are several statutes as well which provide this kind of punishment in which a person can be sent to jail without the possibility of remission, without the possibility of premature release. So, life imprisonment works in that way. If a person has been given plain and simple life imprisonment, general rule is that the person will stay in jail for entire his life, but the state government or the central government can release that person prematurely. Then we have imprisonment, rigorous and simple. Rigorous means with hard labor, simple means with soft labor. If a person has been given rigorous imprisonment, it means that the person uh, will be asked to do hard labor in jail. Earlier it was chakki pisna and patthar todna. Now it has some carpentry work or some kind of construction work, and number of things can be there. But even if a person is given simple imprisonment, they are subject to do soft labor. Soft labor like he'll be asked to gardening or do cooking or cleaning or whatever. Those which are not very difficult job. So soft labor will be taken. Obviously, that depends on the age and strength of the person, gender of the person. So all that is very material. Then obviously we have fine. A person can be fined for an offense in addition to imprisonment, or sometimes only fine is the punishment. Sometimes fine or imprisonment is given or is there. You must have seen, if you have traveled in railway, कि चेन खींचने वाले को 3 महीने की जेल या 1,000 रुपए जुर्माना या दोनों, है ना, or either or both. This particular situation is there. So fine is simply it goes to in the exchequer, but there is also a provision in which the court, while imposing the fine, can send that particular money which has been collected as fine as a compensation to the victim. And as a compensation to the victim, that money can go. That is discretion of the court. If the courts believe that there is a victim and that victim has to be compensated for what has been done to them, so that the court can ask that the fine, instead of going to the government treasury, will go to the victim. That is also an option. Then there is a forfeiture of property. Generally, in the case of corruption, or some of the cases in which a person has committed crime against government, crime against Bharat, that person's property can be forfeited. Generally, forfeiture of property is not under BSA. for many crimes except corruption or crime against Bharat. There is a money laundering act. If a person has earned money by committing a crime, then that money can be taken away by the state by the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, PMLA Act. You must have heard the name ED, Enforcement Directorate. Enforcement Directorate actually works for this particular purpose, that nobody should be allowed to reap the benefit of his crime. If you have committed a crime, and if you have particular asset which has come from the assets from the proceeds of crime, your property will be taken by the state. That is something very important. Obviously, those people who have ran away from India, Vijay Malla and Nirav Modi, we have an Fugitive Offenders Act. Economic Fugitive Offenders Act, it was enacted in 2018 to tackle those situations in which the person who has committed a crime, who has taken the money, or who has escaped Bharat, who has run away. So whatever assets they might have in India, that might be forfeited, that might be seized by the government. So that is also there. Last is community service. Now this is an addition in the existing set of punishments in India. Community service has been added in Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. BNS, this has been added. So not earlier there. Community service, to define, is very simply um, a work that is beneficial to public at large, for which there is no payment, like cleaning streets, or mostly cleaning job, or attending to a building, or working with unprivileged section of the society. Depends on the person who is doing. Now, this community service, or what we call Paschatap Prayashchit, was the part of our ancient value system as well. In ancient India, we had the system of Prayashchit. If you have committed a crime, you will be given an opportunity to do Prayashchit. Eventually, this particular idea was, as soon as the foreign rulers came in India, this particular idea was gone. But you see, panchayats, they give punishments in the form of community service. In you see, gurudwaras, they give this punishment to the people of Sikh faith who commit any crime. Recently, when I'm recording this video a few days back, this the former chief minister of Punjab, not chief minister, I believe, but Sukhbir Singh Badal, a good leader of Punjab, was given this punishment of standing as a guard in front of Swarna Mandir, and he was attacked by a unknown gunman. Then cleaning, taking care of the shoes, and working in langar. All these punishments are there. These are community service, because it helps large number of people, and there is no payment for that. Na? You see, there is a very common saying that work without pay is punishment. So that is work without pay, but that work should not be for the benefit of an individual, but is benefit for public at large. So what will be the form of this community service, I don't know. But nevertheless, notwithstanding, this community service has been added as a punishment for many minor offenses. If there is a smaller offense, the court can definitely award community service, and I'm looking forward to this happening. I believe this will help the criminal justice system a lot. It will give a, what we can say, give a message, a positive message in our country. Moving on, sentencing policy. You see, uh, in our legal system, the punishments are generally given in the phase of maximum and minimum. There is a there is not exact punishment in many offenses. That if person has committed this crime, he'll be punished with this precise amount of punishment. There is always a discretion with the judge. Sometimes it is given minimum itni punishment hogi, maximum itni hogi. Sometimes it is said maximum will be this. There is no minimum prescribed. Maximum punishment is always prescribed. Some cases minimum is also prescribed, but the judge is free to give lesser punishment as well. You see, commits theft. Somebody commits theft in the sense that he stole diamond. धूम वाले चोर हैं वो. उनने जाकर के हीरे चुरा लिए. Now that person has committed theft. Now punishment for theft is 3 years. At the same time, there is a person who steals bread for feeding his family. That person is hungry, and that person steals a loaf of bread, a packet of bread, in order to survive. Both have committed theft. Both will be held guilty. But do they warrant equal punishment of 3 years? You'll say no, obviously. The person who committed a crime because of greed and the person who committed the crime because of, we can say, necessity, they're not the same. If they both are given 3 years imprisonment, you'll not say that the crime is not proportional to the punishment. It means punishment is not proportional to the crime. क्राइम बहुत बड़ा किया, पनिशमेंट बहुत छोटा है. पनिशमेंट बहुत क्राइम बहुत छोटा किया, पनिशमेंट बहुत बड़ी. That is why we have a idea of proportionality. Crime should fit the punishment and punishment should fit the crime. Now, in order to find that way, proportionality, we have aggravating factors and then we have mitigating factors. एग्रीवेटिंग फैक्टर्स वो होते हैं बच्चों जो क्राइम की इंटेंसिटी को बढ़ाते हैं. मिटिगेटिंग फैक्टर वो हैं जो कम करते हैं. एग्रीवेटिंग फैक्टर का मतलब वो जो किसी क्राइम को ज्यादा हीनियस बनाते हैं. सपोज समबडी किल्ड समवन, ठीक है, मर्डर तो किया, और मर्डर करके सपोज उसकी बॉडी को चॉप चॉप कर दिया, फ्रिज में डाल दिया एंड उसको कैनिबलिस्टिक वे में कंज्यूम कर लिया, है ना. वी देयर इज अगेन a very true crime series documentary on Jeffrey Dahmer. There is a famous American serial killer who killed and consumed the flesh of many of his victims. उसके फ्रिज में बिल्कुल भरे हुए थे, किसी का हाथ भरा हुआ है, किसी का पैर है, किसी का लिवर है, किसी का हार्ट है, बस भरे हुए उसके. he was a cannibal. That happens. So that makes that person's crime way more serious. Somebody has committed a crime um, of greed and lust. There are many factors. I'll see. There are certain aggravating factors. Aggravating factors include premeditation. If a crime is pre-planned, now that increases that crime's intensity. Means that if you have committed the crime out of anger, suppose मेरी अचानक किसी से लड़ाई हुई, मैंने उसे मार दिया बिना सोचे समझे, है ना, गुस्से में अचानक मैंने किसी को मार दिया, है ना, आई हैव कमिटेड अ क्राइम आउट ऑफ एंगर. Now that crime is less heinous and a crime committed after a well thought process, ठंडे दिमाग से, premeditation, planned offense if it has been committed, that is more serious, that is more heinous. Premeditation. दूसरा होता है कि if the crime is organized crime and or it is a crime of passion. जैसे मैं आपको बताता हूँ, देखिए अगर किसी का किसी से झगड़ा है, इंडिविजुअल का, ठीक है, मेरा सपोज आई हैव अ डिस्प्यूट विथ माय some of my relatives cousins over a land of property and I killed them in one particular instance, so that is a crime of passion. But suppose I'm a serial killer or I killed someone uh, not because of passion but because of greed or something, now that becomes a more heinous crime. Third is the crime against committed against a vulnerable section of the society. सपोज मैंने किसी बहुत बड़े मजबूत आदमी, मैंने खली को चाकू मारा, और मैंने किसी बिल्कुल कमजोर से बीमार व्यक्ति को चाकू मारा. दोनों क्राइम सेम नहीं है. चाकू मारना इज सेम बट खली इज वेरी पावरफुल, है ना. बट दैट वीक एंड इनोसेंट ओल्ड पर्सन, if a crime is committed against those who are old, those who are sick, women and children are considered more serious than the crime committed against others. Okay. आप बच्चों के साथ, बूढ़ों के साथ, महिलाओं के साथ, if you are a able bodied male or if the person is with disability, then it is a more heinous crime. Then you commit a crime with a fit male person. Okay, if that person has come from a very underprivileged background, तो भी it becomes more heinous, है ना. So that becomes aggravating factor. Then another aggravating factor is if you were in a position of trust, means the victim trusted you, you were taking care of that person, then that becomes more heinous crime. Suppose a caretaker commits murder, a doctor commits murder of a patient, a lawyer commits murder of his client, somebody who trusted you. You see there are multiple instances of rape in which the perpetrator is a family friend or relative of the person. especially in the cases of rape or sexual assault on minors, there are multiple cases in which the person is known to the victim or he was in a position of trust. That becomes an aggravating factor. You kill a stranger, that is one thing. Somebody who trusted you, you kill that person. You have not only killed that person, you have also killed the trust that he had in you. That becomes a more heinous crime. है ना? आपने एक बहुत फेमस अच्छी कहानी है, हार की जीत, है ना? वो आप लोग पढ़िएगा. इफ यू कैन रीड हिंदी, यू कैन शुड read that Baba Bharti and Goda. I read that it is in school as a young kid, so it was very interesting. You know, killing a trust is very problematic thing. You know, then if the crime is a um, gang-related offense, if it's an organized crime or a random crime, all those are aggravating factors. Then there are certain mitigating factors like youth, age. If the person is very young, it becomes a mitigating factor. If the crime was of a passion, that was a mitigating factor. If the person is a sole breadwinner of the family, if the crime was committed because of a necessity, all these are mitigating factors. If there is a possibility of reform, that is also a mitigating factor. If the person has committed a non-violent crime, that's also a mitigating factor. If the person has shown remorse, एक व्यक्ति जिसको पुलिस ने 2 साल ढूंढ कर फिर पकड़ा और एक व्यक्ति जिसने कि क्राइम करने का साझे थाने चला गया कि सर हमसे क्राइम हो गया है, both are not considered the same. You know, both are treated differently. If you will go and you will plead guilty to the judge, so you have saved the time and money of the state. You know, state को आपने, सरकार का आपने पैसा बचाया. If you have not gone into trial, if you have committed the offense and you go to the court and say कि sir, I have committed this fault, kindly, you know, punish me, in that case that becomes a mitigating factor. So obviously the crimes, there are some aggravating factors and some mitigating factors. All of these things will have to be kept in mind by a judge. Some of you will become judges in the future, so you will have to keep those factors in mind and then do justice with the person who has committed the crime. That will also be a justice towards the people at large in the society and also towards the victim of the crime. So you'll have to see the victim, the accused, the society. So it's a tough job. But obviously, as an advocate or as a judge, as a legal professional, that is our burden. That is something for us to mm, study and decide and argue, whatever the case may be. It's a delicate thing. So that delicate balance has to be found. So I believe this particular thing is clear to you. So there are certain, next is changing dimensions of punishment. Now we are also trying, or we are talking about that we should try more on a rehabilitative approach or reformative approach. The crime earlier was retribution and deterrence. Now we are moving towards reformation. More and more steps are taken which will help the people to rehabilitate. That is why we are trying to increase the facilities in jail. The people who are prisoners are allowed actually to they're allowed to learn, study. Recently, a news came in which a person completed his BLLB from jail. They're allowed to study. There is a movie 10th, Dasmi Pass, Dasmi Fail, Abhishek Bachchan movie in which a person studied from jail and got educated. A number of movies, the foreign American movies are also there on rehabilitative measures. People learn skill, trade in jail. So a number of rehab, the people are, the yoga session happens, meditation happens in jail. There are n number of rehabilitative measures. There are psychiatric consultants. Everyone is working towards making jail a center of rehabilitation rather than retribution. Then we have probation. If a person is really young and he has committed a crime, not a heinous crime, but a petty crime, that person can be released on probation. That okay, we are not sending you to jail, but we are giving you a warning. We are keeping an eye on you. If you will commit an offense, you will go to jail. But if you will keep good conduct, your behavior will be good, then you will not be asked to go into jail. That is called probation. Then we have system of plea bargaining, means if a person cooperates with the prosecution and says that yes, I will plead guilty if I am given lesser sentence, that is also allowed. Then we have pardon and remission. If the people in the jail, they actually help other prisoners, they show remorse and rehabilitation. A person has completely turned from any violent action, has completely devoted. People, a lot of people take sannyas in jail. While in jail, they take a guru and they become sannyasis, and you will get a number of sadhus in jail. They were not sadhu when they came to jail, but they became eventually. So, if the person has been rehabilitated, they acquired a good skill. If they show reformation, then remission is a carrot that they have. नहीं, that is a incentive for good behavior. जनरली यू सी पीपल 5 साल की जेल हुई पर 3 साल में जेल से बाहर आ गए. कैसे आ गए? अच्छे बिहेवियर की वजह से. So there is a reward of good behavior. That if you will behave good, then your sentence will be reducted. You can be released early. That is called remission. That is something is a very important factor. So all these factors are contributing to changing dimensions of punishment. We'll learn more about as we will go further in this course. So I hope this particular discussion was helpful to you, and obviously I'm very happy to be of assistance. So keep learning. Next we'll learn elements of a crime. We'll start the main course of criminal law. Elements of a crime we'll learn in the next class. So thank you so much for being patient listeners. If you have any specific queries, reach me at animesh at the rate mpdnlu.ac.in. MPDNU, that is Madhya Pradesh Dharmashastra National Law University .ac.in. Animesh, ANIMESH at the rate mpdnlu at the rate dot ac.in. So thank you so much for being patient listeners. I'll see you in the next video.